Hello everyone. I am going to show you my simple technique for making pocket journals. So I'm going to do an accordion folded journal. I love having these little journals in my daily little art kit, and I'm going to do another video on what I have in there, but this is kind of the start, and I wanted to show you how simple and fun these are to put together. And I do them in lots of different ways. So you can use whatever you have on hand. I love to layer my papers and have really a lot of interest and fun for in my papers. So I tend to gravitate towards using like old journal pages or things that I have that I've been working on top of maybe. But I also wanted to show you, if you want to start from scratch, a really quick technique. I'm going to show you how to do these two-sided mixed media papers, and we're going to make a journal out of just this kind of paper. So I have a couple ready to go, and I'm going to show you my process. I'm going to do it on a little bit smaller papers, and I'll show you. I actually took this paper out of one of these. You might have one in your stash. You might use this to journal with. And then, so this one is 9 by 12, and then this one's 14 by 17. So depending on how small you want your pocket journal to be, will determine the size of paper. I'm just going to do this because it fits better in the camera. But the bigger size makes this one. And the fold I'm going to do today is kind of a funky fold, and I like to do that because it gets me out of my head. So when I grab this out, I'm not trying to work linear in these. I'm just trying to get out my creative energy when I'm out and about during the day. So this kind of fold really keeps you from like going one page after another, because it's kind of an intuitive way to work. They're going every which way. You might want to work on it like this one day. And I develop these further. Sometimes I take them apart and use them as signatures so you can tear them. So I do tons of different things with these, but I just love having one on me during the day. So you're going to need a piece of paper. This is mixed media paper, and I'm going to be using the 9 by 12. I have some simple tools. I have a paintbrush, a pencil, a mark making tool. You could just use a stick or anything you have on your table. A couple oil pastels. I have gray and white. I grabbed out a white China marker. I have my Stabilo, what is this called? Stabilo Marksall pencil in black. And those are really all the mark making tools I'm going to be using. I also have a little kit. This is the kit I carry with me. It's from Boulder Colors, wonderful company. They make natural pigment inks and watercolors, and she's really amazing. I'll put her link in the information. But so I have that. I have some water. I also did my little tea dye with some rust in it because I just really like to layer. So this is going to be the beginning of the layers, and you can be as simple or as complicated as you like. It kind of depends on how you like to work. I like to do lots of layers, and these will probably be covered up as I start working. But I wanted to show you quickly how I do this. So I do gesso with clear gesso on both sides of my paper. So I use clear gesso, and I'll do that just because it folds better and it just kind of holds up better. You do not have to do that. This piece of paper was not gessoed, so it's possible to not do that step. I like it. I think it lasts longer, and it's easier it folds better, and it's just kind of more durable. And I'm going to start with that. So I just quickly gesso my pages with this little roller. I'll show you real quick how I do that. And it dries really fast. And so I'm just going to gesso my papers. You can use a paintbrush or whatever you have, a scraper. You just want to do a thin coat. You don't want to get too crazy here, because I mean, we don't like to wait for things to dry, so I don't, at least. But if you want to do like a stack of these, you can do that too. And then just have them, you know, ready for when you're ready to do some mark making and some interesting artist papers. So I have one, and you can see I'm messy. I'm a messy artist. My table kind of has lots going on, and so I get stuff going on with even the clear gesso. So this paper is gessoed on both sides. I'm gonna move these over just a little. And I'm just gonna start marking. So the first thing I like to do is use a white marker, and I have a bumpy table, so I sometimes will like to throw in something that's a little firmer so I don't get those bumps, but sometimes the ridges are cool too. And I'm going to just make some marks. I can't even see them, which is awesome, because then they're very intuitive, and I'm just feeling my way through it. I'm expressing my emotion in that moment. So love to do white on white marks just for that reason. So I'm going to use a little bit of this China pencil too, because it's just a little bit of a finer mark. Those always give me trouble. And if you want, you could use your handwriting. You could write words. I love to do like some really abstract numbers. Okay, so that's my first layer. So did the white, I'll do a little gray marks, you know, varying how big my marks are. And I'm going to take my pencil also, and I'm going to do a few little interesting meandering marks on both sides. So remember, you're working on both sides at the same time. So that's my pencil. And then I'm going to do a little bit of this Stabilo. I don't do a whole lot of this, because once you put the wet on top of it, it kind of goes away and it dissolves. So this is a water soluble pencil. But I still love that. I still love getting those puddles of that kind of look. And from here, I'm going to so on those papers, I did some acrylic paint. And I used a credit card, or I have my little scraper here, my little catalyst scraper that's super dirty, as usual. And I actually used a combination of some house paint and some of the golden. And it's just a real little amount. You don't want to get too crazy, because you're going to add on top of these in your journal as you're working. So just try and use some restraint. I am the worst when it comes to that, so kind of hard for me to talk there. But I'm just going to do a couple little pools, and then as that kind of dries, and I add my watercolor on top of it, it's going to do some different things that I like. So that's, and I ended up, see here, I'm not using too much of this over here. I'm probably getting too much. Now, if you're working small like this, it might be a good idea to have like your other page close by, so you can work some extra, if you have extra material going on, you can kind of work it over here. So I have that. I'm gonna dry it a little bit. And now I'm going to come back in with some of my watercolor and add some pools of this watercolor to my paper. And I'm going to use quite a bit of water. You can see the oil pastel is resisting. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm kind of moving around the page and just adding some pools. Remember, these are going to be folded up and we're only going to see portions. And I just really love like when I see that resist coming through. Oh, I just think that's so fun. It's like, just surprises. And you see like my Stabilo pencil is kind of starting to lose some of its edges there. Really cool, love it. And if I see something that I like going on, you know, I might come back in and just kind of play with that a little bit. Just have fun with this. Like I said, you could, if you have 10 minutes, you can do one of these easily. If you have half an hour, even better. Okay, so I've got that a little bit dry. I still have a little bit of pooling. I'm going to bring in a texture plate, or if you have a rubber stamp or a stencil, something that has some texture on it. I made this with hot glue. I'm gonna come through those puddles with this and just kind of spread them out. And it's going to make some really cool marks on my page. And then that's also going to get rid of some of that pooling so that it dries quicker. And I'll hit it with this again. Okay, so this would be an amazing little booklet. This would be an amazing pocket journal all folded up. I'm going to do two more things that I love, and I just wanted to show you quickly, is I love to use waterproof India ink in my work. So I will bring in some of that, and you could use a mark making tool or just a small paintbrush, whatever you have. I'm going to add a few dynamic marks to my paper. Again, if you don't like, you know, a lot of people don't work with a lot of black. They like to be a little more subtle. So it's up to you. I think I'll use my feather. And I'm just going to just do some real random marks. And I like to make sure that I'm catching the edges of my paper. So I love that. Take this off. So again, remembering that we're working on both sides, when I'm doing this and not filming, I do fold over quite a bit and kind of go back and forth. I'm gonna use a little bit of water, spread some of that around. And I'm going to dry. Okay, so I think you get the idea. I will go back over, I'll make a little list in the instructions on my how I do this step by step, but I'm gonna say this, it is up to you. Like, I think it works any way you do it. So, I mean, at this point, I'm still kind of wet, but I could come and make a few more marks with my oil pastel and, you know, make this my own. I can work on this as long and as much as I want to, but I really love how this is turning out. So, I'm going to do this one last little thing because I like things grunged up a little. I'm gonna add some tea with rust in just a few places. And you see I'm still getting, my ink's still a little bit wet, so I'll get some pooling from that. if I see some places that maybe are a little dull or just don't have as many marks, I'm going to come in and do that. So I'm going to stop there on this piece. I love this. I think it's turning out wonderfully. This is going to be a really cool journal. And I'm going to set this to the side, and I'm going to show you how from there I'm going to cut or fold and cut my my journal. And this is, I think we all did this in elementary school. I totally remember doing this. So I'm going to fold in half. And I have a bone folder, kind of helps get the edges nice and crisp, especially if you have quite a bit of layering on your piece. So we got to fold in half your portrait. And now I'm going to open it back up, and I'm going to fold to the center of that fold. So fold that again. So you're going to have 4 sections. And I do notice sometimes if I work too fast, which I do a lot when I'm, especially, period, I work very fast. But especially when I'm filming, sometimes I get a little bit off. And they're pretty forgiving. So I have my paper folded this way in 4s. I'm going to open it back up, and I'm going to do the same thing so yeah, horizontally. Open it back up. Keep that right to the middle. Okay, so we have all of our little signatures. I tend to go back and fold them the other way too, because it just seems like it's easier to work with. So I'll kind of go through and refold everything the opposite way that it was folded. That kind of helps when you're making all your little signatures and folds. Okay, so I have I have 4 sets of 4. And now I'm going to start on my right hand side. This is going to be the first. I'm going to take my scissors, or you could tear, and I'm going to cut 3 of the boxes. So I'm going to cut it to the one there. I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to cut it, same idea. Again, you can go a little bit slower than I am and make sure you're getting it straight. And then I'm going to turn it again and same thing. And now we have our accordion fold. Look, now this part you can just play with until it feels right, I would say. I don't think there's a right or wrong way, but there is a way that it feels more comfortable to fold. And that is my little pocket journals that I make. So from here you could do anything on the covers. I like to use cardboard, some recycled cardboard, and I will glue this last piece inside the book, and then I'll usually wrap it with a piece of ribbon or something to hold it together in my bag. And then I tend to have a lot of these little pieces that I make lying around, and they look really cute on the front. but you can go super simple and just start with your cardboard and you know, start adding as you find things when you're out and about. But I love having these, and these are really wonderful. They're a spark for me when I'm out or when I'm on vacation. I can you know, quickly take this out, and you can go back through and gesso and make some pages white again, or some sections of pages. You know, I just go through and make marks and play. This little book, I actually glued all the sections together. So it was pieces of some clay that I had already done, and I just made myself a little pocket journal. And same thing for this. I think this was an underpaper that I folded in the same manner, and then I started adding papers and collage. So sky's the limit on these. They're really fun to make, and I was just really simple things, and they're kind of addictive. So get yourself a whole pile of these and have them around the house. Have them in your bag. Keep them around, so when inspiration strikes, or boredom, or you're just ready to express some creativity, you have a little journal nearby.